Hi guys, so as you can see on the screen, the purpose of this video will be to have a quick introduction to logos. It will follow the ones for ethos and for pathos, where I will tell you what logos is, why it is important, and then show you some examples so that hopefully you can successfully complete the individual practice that follows. Okay, so let me get started. Alright, so first I want to do a quick review um, of what we have so far. So far, we have already looked at pathos and ethos. And let's remember, pathos is an appeal to emotion, ethos an appeal to credibility. And just to provide an example of that, uh, and I will use the topic of climate change as I've been using in all these examples for class. But the way you can use pathos is you can say that we need to take care of the planet because if we don't, climate change will leave it uninhabitable for our children and our grandchildren. And that is an appeal to emotion because you're talking about the future generations and the possibility that they will not have a planet. So that's the use of pathos, going directly after the emotion. Then ethos is credibility. So that is how you make your argument more credible. And for ethos is when you use something or someone to make that happen. So an example of how I would use ethos into the argument of climate change is that climate change is a threat to human survival, and we know this because most of the well-known scientists around the world uh, say that there's enough evidence to prove that it is true. So in there, I'm proving my credibility because I'm citing a lot of the most well-known scientists in the planet. So it is the opinion of those scientists that give you more credibility. Okay, so that's pathos and ethos. Now we will do a third and final rhetorical strategy or device, which is called logos, and it is, well, you can see right there in the triangle, an appeal to reality, logic, and proof. Mainly, the keyword in there is logic, but the rest of it also matters. So using reason, okay, and that's called a rhetorical triangle. Whenever you put these three together into an argument, whenever you have an appeal to emotion, to credibility, and to logic, you tend to have a pretty solid argument. And we're gonna hopefully have you guys use these strategies in your final essay. All right, so a little bit more detail of what is logos. So, like I said, it is an appeal to logic, reason, and or rationality. Uh, and then some examples of what is logos. So the use of statistics, the use of common sense, or the use of data is using logos, is using an appeal to logic. And the thing about logos is just means that it is hard, concrete proof or data or evidence that your argument is true. So I know, for example, in there it says data. Data can also be a proven fact. Uh, so the fact that sea levels are rising, for example, that can be seen as a fact, and that can also be seen as data. Okay, um, and I will give you more specific examples of these, so it makes a little more sense. But it means that you are appealing to logic with the use of statistics, common sense, and data. So that's what's going to drive your argument home, uh, and be logical. Now, why is it important to have logos? So, it is important to have logos because it is what makes your argument clear and realistic. Okay, that part is important, realistic. So, if you do not use an argument, so if you do not use logos to support an argument, then another person can easily use their logic to explain you are wrong. So, the importance of logos is really that it proves that what you're talking about is realistic, and it proves that it is not something that's made up and something that is not true or just living in an imaginary world. Okay, so the importance of logos is to prove that what you're saying is valid. Okay, the other two rhetorical devices also do this, but this logos, that's that's the biggest part of it. It makes sure that whatever you're talking about proves to be true. Okay, so that's why it is important, and that is why you need to have it in an argument. Now, examples in action. So here's my argument. It is that climate change is a current threat to human survival, and we need to act quick. And so I showed how to use logos and appeal to logic in three different ways. So with statistics, with data, and with logic or common sense. And so let me read these. So statistics, climate change is a current threat to human survival, and we need to act quick. Global sea level rose about 8 inches in the last century. Okay, so then the statistic is that the sea levels rose about 8 inches. Okay, data, climate change is a current threat to human survival, and we need to act quick because the planet's average surface temperature has risen about 1.62 degrees Fahrenheit or 0.9 degrees Celsius since the 19th century. Okay, so that's another reason, the rising temperature. And if you notice, data and statistics are really interchangeable. Like I said, data is just a fact that is proven to be true. And then logic, that is the one where you don't really need something that's fully backed up. It just needs to use common sense. So an if then. So climate change is a current threat to human survival, and we need to act quick because we are seeing our coast being disappeared by rising levels and constant wildfires. So in there, I'm using logic or common sense because I'm making the argument that it is a threat to human survival. Why? Because it is disappearing our coasts and causing wildfires. The fact that it is disappearing the coast and causing wildfires is the reason why it's a threat, and that is why it's a logical statement. Okay? So, really, like you see, it's just about making your argument, like right here, and then supported by something that is true. Okay? So, that is the purpose of logos. It's an appeal to logic, and it is just using the evidence to prove that you are saying the truth. So, I hope this is enough to explain what logos is. Now, please go ahead and complete your practice on Canvas.